By the time the 1994 PGA Championship began, it was easy to handicap the field. Nick Price had dominated the PGA Tour with 7 victories in less than 2 years. He was ranked number 1 by the Sony World Rankings and was fresh from his second major championship victory at the British Open from the month before. The leading candidate would disappoint no one at Southern Hills Country Club in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He won going away, never facing a threat. There was no doubt after 72 holes who was number 1 in the world. Now, this was the beginning of the fat lady swings era in Nick Price's life, wasn't it? Tell us that story.
Amazing. Bobby Grace was on the putting green in Memphis the week before the PGA, and people often say to me, well, how can you win, the British Open with one putter and then go the next week and change your putter? Well, I'd been looking for something that was a little softer, and Bobby came up with the fat lady, and I was on the putting green. He said, have you tried this? And I got on there and hold a couple of putts, and I said, yeah, I think I'll try it, and I stuck with my old putter on the Thursday and the Friday and didn't putt very well, and then I made the cut, and I said, well, I'm going to try it on the weekend. I think I shot 66, 64 on the weekend, and it seemed like I drained everything, and it was the perfect sort of start I needed with the putter, because I got so much confidence, and the next week I went into the PGA and just did everything well. I drove the ball well, hit my irons well, I chipped and putted, probably the best that I'd ever done over 4 days in my life.
For you, when one part of your game is working, does it seem to seep through in terms of the confidence level to other parts or not?
Oh, it's basically a backup. It gives you a little bit of more margin for error with, let's say, for example, if your chipping's really good, you feel that you can be a little more aggressive with your iron play. And invariably, when your iron plays better, you feel like you can miss a few fairways. So it does feed back to a certain extent, but it also depends on the type of golf course you're playing. If you're playing on a TPC style course where you have all this water and there's no margin for error, you've got water and then green, mishitting iron shots is you don't get away with it. But on most courses, you can mishit it and be 3 or 4 yards short after hitting a pretty decent shot, and then you can still chip and putt. So it does feedback, but it also depends on the type of course you're playing.
Let's go ahead and talk to Kevin. You're on Golf Talk Live, Kevin.
Hi, Peter.
How you doing?
Good. Hey, Nick.
Hi, Kevin.
Congratulations on a great year in '94. Looks like you're rounding back into form. Good job at the
Thanks.
Honda. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about your relationship with your caddy, Squeaky. And, you two are kind of like the Lee Trevino and Herman Mitchell of the PGA Tour. And maybe you can tell us a funny story about Squeak and what he does for you on the golf course. Thanks.
Well, I think Squeak and I first started together in '91, and I'd had another friend of mine, David McNeely, caddy for me for about 7, 8 years, and frustrating time for both of us because I wasn't winning. But then when when Squeak came on the bag in '91, things changed dramatically for me. We won the Byron Nelson in May of '91, which really, I suppose, was the start of the second part of my career, the way I like to look at it anyway. But he's a great guy. He's got a great sense of humor, and as with any caddy, you've got to get on well with him, because you're going to spend as much time, probably more time with your caddy than you will with your wife. So, you've got to have someone that you get on well with. One of the things that I really admired about, and I still admire about Squeak, is that even though he's been a professional caddy for 10 or 12 years, he's always eager to learn. And if there's some problem that he's having with a certain part of his caddying, he will always take constructive criticism from me, and I will from him as well, as long as I feel that he's justified whatever criticism it is. If I'm not behaving well on the golf course, or if I get a little depressed, he's always trying to pick me up. So I think what a good caddy does for you is very hard to put into words. He does so many different things, but he's just really someone there to give you good moral support and knows when to keep his mouth shut and when to keep the clubs clean, That's one of the things that you really look for in a caddy. But he's been a great guy, and a lot of times out there I have to interpret for him because the gallery doesn't understand what he's saying because of his high-pitched voice. But we've had a good time together.
He's also a guy who seems to be in the right place at the right time. I mean, when your wife was getting ready to deliver your son Gregory the week of the PGA '91, John Daly gets in his 9th alternate, and of course Squeaky picks up the bag.
Right.
He had a great week, but I'll bet your week, and as far as you were concerned, you wouldn't trade that for anything in the world, would you?
Never, ever. That was the most I don't know, eye-opening experience I ever had in my life, you know, to be there was just something I'll never ever trade. I'd never ever want any other way. But Squeak, you know, he had a few bad experiences along the way, so it was just sort of in the 90s that he got lucky, really.
So is Gregory going to start thinking, as you keep winning these PGAs every couple of years, that it's not that it's his birthday that you're celebrating when you're jumping up and down the same week?
I don't know. You know, I just hope that you know, I can still play golf pretty well in about 5 years' time when he can understand a little bit about golf. Because right now, every time I pull my golf clubs out, you know, he gets all depressed because he knows I'm going off somewhere. But funny story, while we were back home in Zimbabwe, I had to go down to South Africa for a week to play in the tournament, and he'd seen me pull out my clubs, and I'd taken him a couple of times to the golf course locally, and I said, Dad's going on the airplane tomorrow. That's sort of like our saying that I'm going away for a week, you know. And he said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to play golf. He says, why? You can play golf here. he couldn't understand why I had to get in the airplane and go play golf, but that's the way kids see things, and it's great.
You betcha. And don't worry about the 5-year thing. You're just starting. We're going to be right back with young Nick Price right after this. If you had to pick 2 off of that list of 30, other than the majors, as standing out for whatever reason as the most satisfying, what would come to mind?
First, probably the Players Championship in '93.
When you blew them away.
I played, you know, 4 rounds of golf there that I'm still proud of to this day. I hit the ball from tee to green that week with as much control as I've ever had, and I putted, not one of my best putting weeks, but I putted really solidly. Every time I hit it inside of 15 feet, I sort of either made it or left it on the edge. It was just a really good week. The other week, which I think I probably played my best golf of all time, was at the Sun City $1 Million in 1994. I shot 24 under around the Gary Player Country Club at the Sun City, which, I don't know, that was, every time I go out and play that course, I say, well, how on earth did I manage to shoot 24 under? But that was, I was in a zone. If ever there was a week for being in a zone, it was that week, because I never put a foot wrong all week.
When I was looking at the '93 Players Championship, I wondered if it was a typo when I saw that you hit 61 out of the 72 greens. Yeah. It was a typo?
I don't know. I didn't know that, but you know, that's pretty good odds on that golf course. That's when you can go around there, and it's a key driving golf course, and I don't think I missed a fairway. If I missed a fairway that week, or it may have been 1 or 2, but they were just sort of marginally off the fairway, and it was to go and win the Players Championship, which I think, you know, is rapidly becoming, everyone was talking of a 5th major. I don't think there'll ever be as a 5th major per se, but I think that that is a tournament of very high stature right now for all of us because of the quality of the field. It's a very difficult golf course, and you know, the prize money we play for ain't too bad there either.
Absolutely not. Who we got with us? Hello, Don. How you doing?
Peter.
Yes, Don.
Thank you for a consistently wonderful and just always informative show. Just always enjoy it. Nick,
very nice.
It's an honor to talk with you this evening.
Thank you, Peter.
I know that you enjoy fishing in your time off, and I was just wondering, what kind of fishing do you do? What kind of equipment do you use? And because you have been known as such a wonderfully accommodating and wonderful person on the golf course in signing autographs and so forth, I've been a builder of fishing rods for a number of years, and with my best wishes, I would just like to send you whatever you would like, just to wish you the best for 1996.
Thank you very much, Don. That's great. My biggest love is fly fishing, and I was taught at an early age by my father, and I suppose that's one of the reasons I love it so much, because fly fishing to me has always been the ultimate challenge, using artificial bait, sneaking up on fish in streams. To me, it's always been a really good challenge, and I've adapted all the fishing I've done over the years to fly fishing. I now do a lot of fly fishing in the ocean in front of my house, and you know, I just love fly fishing. So I've got probably from a 4-weight rod all the way through to a 12-weight rod, which I use for tarpon and sailfish. excuse me, but I've got from Fennec rods, Hardy rods, Loomis rods, Sage rods. I've got a whole lot, but my favorite rod is a 9'6" weight, which I use for bone fishing. And it's probably the most versatile rod I've got. I use it off the beach in front of my house and catch small jack and small pompano. And it's just fun for me. I feel very comfortable with that rod in my hand.
We've got Blair in Minnesota who is cutting a hole through the ice to do some fishing right now. How are you, Blair?
Hi, guys. Yeah, I'm calling from the home of Tim Herron. And Peter, because an earlier caller didn't acknowledge you, yeah, you're an attractive guy also.
But you're not my type.
Nick, I wanted to ask you, I know obviously you never heard of Tim Herron until last week, but he is a player and he can take it deep. I wanted to ask you, with the lack of large crowds last week because of the moisture and the rain and everything, how you feed off crowds as far as adrenaline towards boosting your low scores.
Well, playing in front of people is a great experience. At first, it's very intimidating, and you're very scared to make a fool of yourself in front of people. But after a while, you get used to it. And in fact, certainly the last 3 or 4 years in my career, I feed off the crowd, and I think that's something that I've learned to do. I enjoy playing well in front of people, but last week the weather was so miserable that it was kind of difficult to leave the warmth of your home to go and play in that or go and watch golf in that weather. Tim Herron's, a guy. I mean, I have nothing but respect for him the way he played last week, because that is one of the hardest things in golf to do, is to lead wire to wire and win your first PGA Tour event. I'm sure he breathed a huge sigh of relief when that week was over, because in '83 when I won the World Series, although I'd won on other tours and not as bigger tournaments as the World Series, for Tim, he must have just had a very, very strenuous week, and he must have been very nervous, but he played phenomenally well, and I think a lot of people didn't expect him to pull it off, but I think he's going to go places. He's certainly proved it to everyone.
And of course, the fellow who did it previously wire to wire and won was our guest, Nick Price. Hello, Jan.
And Nick, good evening. How are you this evening?
How are you, Jan?
Good. Just wanted to ask Nick, I've been fortunate enough to see him at the Masters and also at the Memorial before, and it seems like of the superstars, he is one of the more congenial and friendly persons or golfers with the galleries, and I just wanted to know what his outlook was towards the fans. I'm sure he must have some perspective on it. And also a quick one, how come I never seen Nick wear a hat, and with all the worry about skin disease and all, I never seen him wear a visor. I just wonder what his thought was on that. Thank you.
Well, first and foremost, I try and treat the galleries with the respect. I suppose I galleried a lot when I was a youngster, and I try and treat the galleries with the respect that I would expect from another player. Just to treat people as equals, and obviously sometimes it's very difficult because people do get rowdy and maybe drink a few too many beers out there, and it's kind of difficult to reason with people. And then maybe there's a side of me that comes out that I don't particularly like, but that's the only way that you can handle that situation at the time. So it depends. If people are understanding and realize the situation that I'm in, that I'm out there trying to make a living, and that I'm trying to do the very best that I can, then it's very, very easy for me to be good to those people. With regard to the hat, I've never really felt comfortable in playing in a hat, although I did play in a hat for a short period of time. But right after I shave every morning, I put on about 2 layers of sun lotion, and I see a dermatologist quite regularly, and although he's encouraging me to wear a hat, he is quite happy with the fact that I'm wearing sunscreen. So I've got it under control, and I just hope that I just don't feel comfortable in a hat, I suppose, is the best thing. But my wife's been nagging me, and there are a couple of other people who've been nagging me to. Nagging is not a good word. They've been very concerned about my skin, and they keep saying to me, will you put a hat on? And I say, well, if I find the right one and I don't feel like I look foolish out there, then I'll probably put one on at some stage.
I'm with you. I hate those hats. We're going to be right back with Nick Price. Stay with us.
Well, how much difference the Fat Lady Swings putter has meant to Nick Price's game. I think after he won the PGA Championship, 10 days after he got the putter, and a month after that he won the Canadian Open, he said for the first time in his life that the putter was the strongest part of his bag at that time, first ever. He said he went through many lean years with the putter, and I'm really proud to be a part of what has pretty much cured his putting. So we're real happy what he has done with the putter, and I think he is too.
One of the other things that you're up to, among others, is of course your new partnership with Steve Smyers,
Right.
who of course built Southern Dunes right near here in Haines City, which is one of my favorite golf courses to play. It's fun, it's fair and challenging. It's got the Alistair McKenzie Cape bunkering. What are you guys up to?
Well, we've been very busy the last year or so, just trying to recruit golf courses and that, and things are really coming along for us nicely. Steve has a wonderful imagination, and he's built some great golf courses. He's done some wonderful work, and he was a perfect opportunity for me to get involved in golf course design, because obviously I don't have any experience in having gone out and actually physically designed any courses or done any architecture, but between the two of us, I think we're going to do some great work. You know, he's a good player. If you take two people and get them to look at the same piece of property, you'll get two totally different interpretations, and you've got to try and mold those together and make the very best hole or the best golf course for a piece of property. So I'm really excited about it, and hopefully, when you build a golf course, it lasts forever, and it's one way of leaving your mark.
Absolutely, and you couldn't have picked a much better guy to do this
very
with.
happy.
Very excited for you. Good luck with that.
Thanks.
Jim in Virginia, you're on Golf Talk Live.
I'd like to commend you on another great show. And Nick, it's a great honor talking with you.
Thanks, Jim.
I'd like to know who was your idol while you was growing up. And I'd like to know, is the Anheuser-Busch going to be on your schedule in '96? Because we like to see you out here in Virginia.
Thanks, Jim. Who was my idol when I was growing up? Well, I had a few, but coming from a small country like Zimbabwe, we didn't have too many professional golfers. The only one that was close at hand was Simon Hobday, and he's a real character for any of you who've seen him play or met him in person. But he had a huge influence on my early life as an amateur and also as a professional, because I traveled with him a couple of times, and he taught me things about golf that I could never have learned, or would have taken me a long time to learn on my own. He's a great ball striker. In fact, there are a lot of parallels between his game and my game, and we both swing the club pretty quickly, and he's got a very, very good golf swing, and hopefully one day we'll catch up to that. But as regard to the Anheuser-Busch, I'm hoping to make it up there this year. I know it's been off my schedule the last couple of years, but I found it very difficult to play the week before the British Open, and then go over to the British Open and then play the week after. And the way Memphis and a couple of the other events have been the week after, I've sort of skipped the Anheuser-Busch and played the week after, but hopefully I'll make it there this year.
Great seeing Hobday win the U.S. Senior Open,
Wasn't that
by the way.
great, huh?
Unbelievable. Robert in Florida, how are you?
How you doing? Last week I saw you at the Honda Classic, and I just want to congratulate you on playing well.
Thanks, Rob.
My question is, the press and the pros get down on Eagle Trace as being one of the toughest golf courses when it's windy. How do you think the golf course is?
Well, the golf course has matured a lot since I last played there, but as far as I'm concerned, there are a few fundamental flaws in the design, in that, this time of year, when it's so windy, a lot of the bunkers and the water actually quarters across the front of the green and makes it very, very difficult to play in any kind of wind. And invariably you're playing not into the wind or straight downwind. You've got so much crosswind on that golf course, and when the greens get very firm and very fast, it's extremely difficult to keep the ball on the green. And I think that's one of the problems that the guys have had over the years. This year, however, the greens were a lot softer, which some people will say, well, that's not good for tournament play. But for that golf course to be able to play that golf course under windy conditions, the greens have to be fairly soft. And that's what I think why it's had such a bad rap. And this year, you know, I think the conditions were very, very good. Obviously, because I played well, but also because you know, it was a lot fairer this year, and it's still a difficult golf course to play in the wind, though.
Gary, please say hi to Nick Price.
Hello.
Hello, Gary.
Hey, great show, Peter, as usual.
Thank you, sir.
How you doing, Nick?
Good, thanks, Gary. How are you?
Good. Nick, I had a question about your putting. As far as you raise the putter up and put it in front of the ball, is that for alignment, or is that by habit?
It's something that I actually started doing probably 4 or 5 years ago, and I think one of the biggest problems that you have with putting is that you don't line up correctly. You don't always aim the club. I think it goes through with any part of the game. And what it helped me to do was it gave me an interrupted view of the hole, so that I didn't have the ball in between and I could see exactly where I was lining up. So I really took care in lining up. It also slowed my whole routine down. Before I would get over a putt and sort of take 1, 2 quick looks at the hole and then go ahead and hit it. What it helped me to do is just slow things down a little bit, which is what I needed to do. So it actually has about 2 or 3 reasons. There's 2 or 3 reasons why I do it, but mainly for lineup.
As we go to this short break, we're going to see the number that you can call if you're interested in the Bobby Grace putters, and 34 worldwide victories since 1994. Not just Nick, but Annika Sorenstam and Lee Trevino and Kari Webb and J.C. Sneed. And you can reach him at 1-800-4-MALLET. If you have questions or comments about Golf Talk Live you'd like to share with us, please send them along to us at Golf Talk Live, 7580 Commerce Center Drive, Orlando, Florida, 32819. How about a quick update on the family, including your mom, who I understand lives in northern England now?
That's right. She lives in about 100 miles north of London, in Norfolk. Very, very beautiful farm country. She's very happy there, very happily retired there, and I get to see her probably 3 or 4 times a year. My wife is expecting our 3rd in September.
Congratulations.
My son is going to be 5 in August. My daughter will be 3 in August. So this year I've managed to avoid the PGA, I hope, unless this one comes early. Yeah, we're just really enjoying living down at Hope Sound there. We've been down there for about a year now. And of course, because I love fishing so much, and it's been great down there. And my son, I'm trying to get him hooked on fishing. I don't really care if he plays golf or not. I'd like him to play golf, but it doesn't worry me. If he doesn't fish, it's going to break my heart. But we, you know, that's I think again I relate to all the times when we were a family growing up, and how much the family fishing trips meant to me. So I hope I can pass it on to my son.
How important has your wife Sue been towards the success you've enjoyed, particularly the last 5 years, because she's been there for most of the ride, hasn't she?
For someone, when I first met her in '85, who didn't know the first thing about golf, she picked it up extremely quickly. But I think she's been supportive in ways that I never imagined. I suppose just making sure that, you know, for a long time there, that golf was a priority for me. Now the kids have come along, she's helping me to balance my life a little more. And we've chatted about what happened last year, and maybe I lost the focus a little bit and got involved in too many things, but we've spoke about that, and we sorted out and decided that this year it's family and golf, and that's it, and those are the 2 things I love to do the most. So she's been very, very supportive, and she's very knowledgeable now too, because she watches me putt, and when I've putted badly, she comes along to me, she says, "You're moving your head again, I can see it," you know. So you know, who can be your best critic but your wife? Because you can never, what was the best one I heard was that never question your wife's judgment. Look who she married.
You were quoted as saying 5 or 7 years ago that if you won $10 million and no majors, it wouldn't be a successful career.
Right.
Well, the money's right, and you've got 3 majors. What do you dream about now, quickly?
Those two other major championships, Augusta and the U.S. Open. Those are the 2 that I would love to win more than anything else right now. And if I only had 2 more tournament victories left in my career, it would be those 2, because ever since when I first understood what professional golf was, I wanted to win the Grand Slam of golf, and I'm halfway there, so hopefully I'll be able to get there.
We wish it to you.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you so much for being here. Really
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it. Thank you so much. Good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Golf Talk Live.
Thanks.